This was one of the few times watching a movie felt like work.
What's up, everybody? So I finally got around to watching Avatar Fire and Ash, and I felt every minute of the 3 hour and 17 minutes of this movie. And at this point, it feels like I'm watching the Avatar movies out of respect for what James Cameron meant to me in the 80s and 90s. If I'm judging it solely based on its merits in a vacuum, this movie is just, it's okay. You know, let's talk about what is good first, and that is the visual spectacle of the movie. And man, it is impressive. It is something that is just so good that after you watch the movie and you're at home or you're even on your way home, one of the things you have to keep thinking about is, with the exception of the character of Spider and the actor that plays him, everything else is computer generated. Everything from the leaves, the water, the movement of everyone and everything in this movie is generated on a computer. And when you think of it like that, it's so awe-inspiring. It's like, wow, you actually did this, and in that sense, it is something to behold. It's beautiful, it's impressive, so realistic. And when you think of it in just in the terms of the visual aspect of it, you think to yourself, why isn't all CGI like this? Because it all should look like that. At least if you put in the right amount of time and care, the CGI is going to look like it. Because if you think about any other movie, and it's like every single movie has CGI at this point, but all of it looks fake and out of place. And then you hear stories of how the CGI departments are just overworked and underappreciated and most likely underpaid as well. And then it kind of makes that much sense. And then when you think, okay, James Cameron, it's so many years in between Avatar movies that, okay, I get it. Because you are putting in the time and the care to make everything in this movie look as incredible as it absolutely does. Now, having said that, so much more time is dedicated to the visual aspect of the movie that the story itself just falls flat. The performances are flat, the plot is flat. I mean, it's like if you're thinking about it on like as a pie chart, you want it to be, halfway. You want it to be like 50-50, like half of it's everything has as much in it as it possibly can. You put half of your effort into the visual, half into the story, and whether that means performances, or music or anything that just captures the emotion of the story so that the audience can connect with it in some way, shape, or form. But in this particular case, and really, if you think about it, it's kind of the case with all the Avatar movies, the story is always kind of weak. If you even think back to the first Avatar movie, I mean, immediately I was like, oh, this is Dances with Wolves. This is Last Samurai. This is Point Break. This is Fast and the Furious. You know what I mean? Like the plot of it has been done over and over again, but what kept you coming back is like how impressive the visuals were. But now that the visuals have been established, more needs to be done with the story. Like, for example, if you think of in the Avatar 2 Way of Water, one of the more interesting characters is Spider. The fact that he's human, he's the offspring of Stephen Lang's character. I think it's Quaritch. I forget his name always. But he wants to be a Navi basically, and he's always around the Navi. But the fact that he's human, he's on Pandora, he can't breathe the air, he can't connect with Awa. So the parts of him that always are a barrier to him becoming one of them truly that was like some interesting creative tension. And in this one, it all just kind of gets taken away. It's like, spoiler alert, he kind of dies, but he's able to, through the Navi, he's able to connect with Awa. Sigourney Weaver's character is able to construct some kind of firmware so that now he can breathe on the planet of Pandora. So the things that were the creative tension are just suddenly gone. And now what really is there? It's nothing really that uh, isn't always in the back of your mind when you think about Spider. And things like that, it's just rubbed me the wrong way. It kind of took me out of it. And I was like, oh, this is just what happened, James Cameron. You were such a great storyteller, but what's going on now? Even the new tribe with fire and the destruction, and even though it's kind of all right, it's interesting at least, but I feel like those interesting ideas weren't properly fleshed out because they didn't really have time. They were dedicating more time to making sure the world of Pandora looked impressive as the previous movies and kind of pushed the visual aspect forward instead of pushing the story element forward. And that's why it's like the first hour you're impressed, and then as time goes on, parts of the story start to wither away and not really be believable. And by the third hour, and especially the last half an hour, you're checked out. Unless it's an action sequence, and I got to give kudos to James Cameron. He still knows how to do action. Wow. Everything has tension. It's impressive. The huge explosions, and it has drama, and it's cool. It has everything that you need. But then in the moments between those action set pieces, it leaves a lot to be desired. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. What about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.